Welcome to Left from the Hip. I'm spiritual hypnotherapist, master esthetician, and your host, Sakura Sutter. This is the second edition of a new collab of Love from the Hip hosting Sage Sisters podcast featuring Megan Durkins and Haley McLennan. We will feature amazing people locally in the Seattle area, grabbing their story and sharing their healing insight and wisdom. I hope that by listening to our monthly collaboration, you not only get inspired to help yourself and live your best life, but also that you will share it with others in hopes of making this world a better place. After all, we have a responsibility, and we owe it to ourselves first. I would like to now introduce my cool co-hosts, Megan and Haley.
Hi, we're Haley.
And Megan, hosts of Sage Sisters podcast.
And we are two energy healing junkies based here in the Pacific Northwest who are on the search for what wellness and self-care actually mean.
Every Friday, we dive into the paths of various healing practitioners, coaches, and teachers, as well as our continued exploration of our own energy work, spirituality, and self-care.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts and on Instagram and Facebook at Sage Sisters Podcast.
So, Megan, can you tell our listeners more about our special guest for today?
Yes, so exciting. So today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Patrick Fox on the show. Dr. Fox is a licensed naturopathic physician who owns Constellation Naturopathic in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle, Washington. After completing his undergraduate studies at Loyola University, Maryland, he graduated from Bastyr University, one of the world's preeminent universities for natural medicine, also in our backyard. He went on to complete a rigorous 2-year certified residency afterwards to hone his clinical skills through the Council on Naturopathic Medical Education.
His clinical approach integrates a variety of medical systems in diagnosing and treating chronic and acute diseases, including chronic Lyme disease, mold biotoxin illness, autoimmune disease, metabolic disease, gastrointestinal dysfunction, hormone imbalances, as well as improving wellness in those who are healthy. His favorite tools to use with patients include diet and lifestyle modification, herbal medicine, vitamin and mineral supplementation, IV therapy, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and others. He utilizes tools like autonomic response testing, ART, to develop individualized comprehensive treatments for his patients.
Dr. Fox sounds amazing.
He is.
So just so you know, later on the show, we will also open up the phone lines so that you can ask Dr. Fox about any of our discussion topics. So stick around after this quick break.
Is your tween starting to experience a change in their skin? Want to get them on an easy at-home routine and have good skin hygiene? Allow Sakura Skin in Mind to help your tween out. This brief, deep cleansing and educational 35-minute facial is just enough to get your tween, ages 10 to 12 years old, started off in the right direction. Sakura Skin in Mind uses the latest in the clinical skincare industry to care for your tween the right way for just $65. Sakura Skin in Mind, treating skin out there with an ounce of treatment and a pound of protection. Call 206-730-7429 or go to sakuraskininmind.com.
Alternative Talk 1150, here to uplift your day.
Welcome back to Love from the Hip. I'm spiritual hypnotherapist, master esthetician, and your host, Sakura Sutter. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook and to subscribe and share my YouTube channel and podcast on Podcast One, Love from the Hip, and that's HYP. If you are just joining us today, is the second episode of a monthly collaboration with Sage Sisters Podcast.
Hi, we're Haley.
And Megan, hosts of Sage Sisters podcast.
And we are two energy healing junkies based here in the Pacific Northwest who are on the search for what wellness and self-care actually mean.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts and on all the social medias by searching Sage Sisters podcast.
Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Patrick Fox on our show. Dr. Fox is a naturopathic physician and owner of Constellation Naturopathic in Fremont.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Can you explain the difference between a naturopathic doctor and someone who describes himself as a naturopath and an MD?
I love this question because it helps to educate everybody about this particular field. Naturopathic doctors attend an accredited 4 or 5 year university for a degree in naturopathic medicine. It's a doctorate, actually. And so what that entails is a certain level of accreditation from outside sources that have to make sure all the classes line up and the credits line up appropriately. A naturopath, on the other hand, is not necessarily somebody who's gone through that accreditation and to a school like that. And I think that distinction is important because no matter where you're getting your information from or your healing from, I think it's good to know in a safety kind of like way or meaning why you need to know where they're educated. So a naturopath may have attended an online college or online correspondence work, and that doesn't make them is an equal in terms of what they know in terms of their therapeutic benefit, maybe, and their diagnostic ability potentially as well. Now, how that shifts from medical doctors or allopathic physicians is it's just a completely different mindset. And I think what we're seeing in our kind of communities and in our society is just this shift away and towards more of a holistic style of practice. And on the medical doctor side, they call it functional medicine. For us as NDs, that's kind of co-opting our medicine. So we kind of have a little bit of a put our stake in the ground on that one. Naturopathic medicine is all about treating the whole person. And that means lots of different ways, not just the physical body, not just the mental body or the emotional body, but the spiritual body too, and connecting all of those together. We have a set of rules and principles we follow. Obviously, everybody says first do no harm. That's the Hippocratic Oath. We also take that same oath. But what I love is we just have a different way of focusing on a problem than just symptom abatement. We focus on finding the root problem and removing the root, and then thus establishing like foundations for health. And so people can get better just by removing the problem.
Ooh, thank you. Good explanation.
That's so
Thanks.
good. So, Dr. Fox, why would someone seek a naturopathic doctor?
I'm biased because I am one. I think anytime you're looking for somebody who might have training amongst multiple modalities. And what that means is naturopathic doctors, we have more tools in our toolbox to manage a variety of conditions. And what I mean by that is we don't just use drugs, and we don't necessarily always just refer for surgery. Now, in the state of Washington, we can prescribe certain classes of medications, antibiotics, and the usual run-of-the-mill stuff you'd find from a primary care. But the power in that is by getting people better enough to be able to remove them from those medications. And that's it's a huge, huge part of lifting a burden from somebody in their health in some ways. So I say anytime you're not happy with the care you're receiving is the time to reach out to see a naturopathic doctor. And again, that following up the first question, make sure you know where they went to school and what they studied and why they might be a good fit. They got to fit you energetically as much as they have good knowledge and good information.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really good explanation, though, because we listed in our intro a whole list of chronic illnesses or ailments that you might see somebody would see a naturopathic doctor for. But you can also just, if you're feeling off and want somebody to support you.
I think we have so many, in medicine, we have diagnostic codes that fit into an insurance paradigm, and that's what's covered or not covered based on the coding. And sometimes they're just symptom-based codes, and that's all they can come up with because it's hard to kind of get to a root cause unless you're willing to kind of accept that you have to do things outside the box. And then using those tools like diet and lifestyle, using vitamins and nutrients, and also bridging the gap, right? If you have a patient that needs to use certain types of medication or need to go in for surgery, you support that, and you can help that process and optimize the outcomes of any of those situations.
So that brings me to my next question. Regardless of if it's allopathic or naturopathic, there still is responsibility for the patient, right? To be involved in their own healing.
Yes. And I know that this is something that we've all shared before with each other, that the minute you are empowered to take control over your health, it doesn't mean you fire every doctor or you fire everybody in your team, but when you get to that place of acceptance of what you've got going on, that gives you the power to make appropriate choices for yourself and empowered choices. And it's all about information. And you can choose anywhere you want to go with any direction of healing, but knowing where you're at and feeling that you're in the driver's seat because it's your health and your body, that's the most powerful thing.
Okay. Well, since we're women here wanting to know about hormones, can we go there? Let's talk hormones.
Yeah, I love talking about hormones. I've done some advanced training with hormone therapy just because it's ever present in the patients that I see and treat and talk to. And now, this isn't just for women who might be going through or approaching menopause or postmenopause. This is also the teenager, male or female, who has cystic acne or irregular periods, and all this stuff. All of it we have room for all of this. And a naturopathic doctor is phenomenal at this because we help with diet, and we help with supplements and herbs, and that can be more than enough to shift somebody into a more normal space. Hormones, I think they're ever present in all of us. We have plenty of endocrine disruptors, which is a hot buzz term right now. In our
a big word.
Yeah. Endocrine meaning just like the organs in our bodies, the systems in our bodies that produce hormones and release them into the system. So obviously we know that the ovaries and the testes, but the adrenal gland, thyroid, pancreas, pineal gland, there's a bunch. And so what I think is amazing about doing hormone work is you're looking at all of them. You're not just running a couple of blood markers because they're not necessarily going to give you all of the right information. There are benefits to doing blood testing for certain types of hormones. There are benefits for doing urine testing or saliva testing. So having a doctor be well-versed and well-rounded in that, I think, helps you make better decisions for your health. And that's, again, all about the empowerment piece.
I think that's important what you just brought up because I'm 34 years old. And when I hear people talk about hormone therapy, I'm like, oh, that's not for me. That's down the road for me. So talk about why somebody who's in their late 20s, early 30s would want to be interested in hormone therapy.
Totally. And what I love about this concept is you hit it like right out of the head, Megan. It's about doing things with your diet, maybe. So I like talking about seed cycling. So using certain types of seeds, which are the fatty acids in them, help support different hormones at different times in the month for women who still have a menstrual cycle.
Like food seeds.
Food seeds, yeah. Eating food. Food is hormone therapy. Removing toxic exposure to non-organic tampons. Because of the amount of glyphosate and garbage that's put into conventional tampons, we see women having a harder and harder time with certain types of either fertility issues or endometrial issues, even just generalized hormone imbalances. And so changing that one thing can be a huge step for people and removing out the obstacles to cure. And so anybody is appropriate to look at their hormones because it's an underlying system in all of us.
So can I ask you then, because I work with skincare and I see acne all the time,
right.
And I know that most allopathic doctors are first to prescribe antibiotics. What's your take on that?
You gotta look at the gut. It's always about the gut. In naturopathic medicine, we love talking about the belly. And that's because as we are developing in utero, at one point our guts are our outsides, and then we kind of go through this like whole triple lux flip thing, and everything turns backwards and inside out, and our guts then become our inside. And so when you were looking at acne as a problem, a lot of times I think about, is there a dysfunction in the gut? Are we not appropriately addressing diet? Are we not using enough fats in our diet? A lot of people, I think, with acne too, might be using the wrong type of cleansers, right? A lot of people assume an oily based skin, they would need the driest cleanser out there, but that just isn't necessarily the case. That also may indicate that their hormones just need to be balanced with diet, right? How do we remove some endocrine disruptors like dairy, for example? Dairy is a great example of pulling people off of dairy can help improve acne and reduce acne scars in a lot of people.
Can it also be viral related?
Oh, yeah. and that's why all of this is so connected. And I think that's my favorite part, is making sure that you're addressing all the different levels of somebody rather than just saying, this is it, this is where you're at, I'll see you in 6 months.
Right, exactly. All right, well, thanks for that. Well, we're going to have to take a quick break, but remember, this is a live show, so if you would like to ask Dr. Fox a question, especially about anything that we just discussed, feel free to call 1-888-298-KKNW or 425-373-5527 after this quick break.
Hey everyone, I'm Haley.
And I'm Megan, and we host Sage Sisters Podcast.
We're former sorority bitches who have turned into wellness witches. Behind us are the days of college parties, Seattle bar hopping, and random happy hours. Now we're seeking the secrets of true wellness and self-care.
Every Friday, we release new episodes chronicling our exploration of alternative energy healing modalities, spiritual wellness, and intuitive development. You can find us by searching Sage Sisters wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can download and subscribe to our episodes on iTunes and Spotify.
We've both found incredible healing through multiple forms of energy work and want to spread the love. So look up Sage Sisters Podcast and join in on your own spiritual wellness exploration.
Download and subscribe to Sage Sisters Podcast, and if you like, throw us a rating and review on iTunes. And don't forget,
go sage yourself.
Peach fuzz is great if it's on a peach. Let Sakura Skin and Mind remove unsightly hair with dermaplaning. Although its primary purpose is to remove layers of dead skin, it's just one of the added benefits, leaving your skin baby smooth, safe, effective, fast, and affordable. What a concept! Sakura Skin and Mind wants you to look your very best, and dermaplaning is just one tool in their chest. Find out about dermaplaning at sakuraskinandmind.com. SAKURA, skinandmind.com. We bring out the healthy skin and healthy way of thinking you didn't know you had.
Did you know that your skin is your body's first defense against disease and infection? Briotech knows and has developed their topical skin spray to enhance your skin's natural healing responses and defenses. Briotech is all about providing its customers products that help promote skin wellness. Briotech Topical Skin Spray is a light misting spray free of added fragrance, oil, alcohol, and parabens. All this protection without clogging your pores. It's a must addition to your all-around daily skincare regimen. Try Briotech, a collection of sprayers from 2 ounces to 8 ounces. With this bundle, you can have Briotech Topical Skin Spray wherever life takes you. All natural and safe to use from head to toe. Irritations? Redness? Post-procedure sensitivities? Get Briotech Topical Skin Spray today. Learn more at briotechusa.com. That's BRIOTECHUSA.com. Support your skin at briotechusa.com.
Your skin is your body's largest organ. Care for it properly, starting with your face. Sakura Skin and Mind offers several clinical facial treatments to help stimulate collagen production, eliminate toxins, boost circulation, and deeply cleanse. See a new you in your mirror. Clinical facials range from $90 and up. Do your face a favor. Sakura Skin and Mind, erasing wrinkles one clinical facial at a time. Learn more, sakuraskinandmind.com. SAKURA, skinandmind.com.
Don't let that herd mentality lead you off a cliff. We support thinking for yourself on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Love from the Hip. I'm spiritual hypnotherapist, master esthetician, and your host, Sakura Sutter. Don't forget to tune in right here on KKNW every Wednesday at 2 to 3 p.m. for more Love from the Hip. If you are just joining us, today is the second episode, of a monthly collaboration with Sage Sisters Podcast.
Hey, we're Haley.
And I'm Megan, host of Sage Sisters Podcast.
And we are 2 energy healing junkies based here in the Pacific Northwest who are on the search for what wellness and self-care actually mean.
You can find us dropping new episodes every Friday, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Today we have the pleasure of having Dr. Patrick Fox on our show. Dr. Fox is a naturopathic physician and owner of Constellation Naturopathic in Fremont. And if you would like to ask Dr. Fox a question, feel free to call 1-888-298-KKNW or 425-373-5527.
Okay, before we went to the break, Dr. Fox, you had mentioned seed cycling, and then I kind of cut you off by asking what that actually was. Can we go back to that and explain it a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. So seed cycling revolves around 2 phases in female hormones, the follicular phase, which is the first phase, and phase 2, which is the luteal phase. So phase 1 begins with menstruation, and phase 2 begins with ovulation. So if you had a perfect cycle, it'd be day 1 to 14 would be your follicular phase, and day 14 to 28 would be your luteal phase. That first half, we want to support more of the estrogen-supporting seeds. And so when we think about seeds like that, we're going to think about our flax seeds, pumpkin seeds. Happy Halloween. Save those seeds, eat them. And then fish oil. I mean, and for some people, it's easier to do it from a food base. For some people, they're like, I don't have time to, ground up flax seeds or figure it all out. So I just want to take supplements. And so fish oil is a really appropriate time to do this as well. And then as we get into the second phase of the cycle of cycles, and when we're looking at the luteal phase, we're going to want to switch that up. We're going to use things like sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and then evening primrose oil, because it's high in what's called GLA. And that's like a gamma-linolenic acid, and it's really super important for helping progesterone. So a lot of times when we look at hormones, it's more that they either are dysregulated, like they're going way too high and causing symptoms around cycles, or they're dropping precipitately kind of almost off a cliff. And so seed cycling can help improve all of them by just helping you give the backbones to all of those hormones.
So easy.
Who would have thought?
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's hormone therapy. One of them right there. It's that simple.
Okay, switching a little bit, Dr. Fox, I want to talk about, or have you talk about, vitamin B. So why is vitamin B so important? What are some common symptoms of vitamin B deficiency? And then what's the best way to take or absorb?
Great question. So It's kind of entering vitamin B and vitamin D season now. They're kind of different. B vitamins are more water soluble, which doesn't make them just safe outright. So a lot of people think, I could just take as many Bs as I want. Really, you want to make sure that you're dialing your dosage in with your doctor, ideally a naturopathic doctor or somebody who has knowledge about it. But B vitamins we get through our food. Now, with that first step, you have to think, what are people's diets like? Are their menstrual cycles too much if it's a female? And possibly, do they have gut dysfunction? Do they lack the ability to break down Bs from their diet? In our elderly folk, as we age, we lose something called intrinsic factor, which reduces our ability to absorb B vitamins, particularly vitamin B12. So those are all out the gate. That's the first set of questions, right? But the B vitamins, when we're deficient in them, we're lacking. We have this kind of like this fatigue, right? A lot of people talk about fatigue, feeling tired, run down, energetically run down. They have brain fog. They've got low exercise tolerance. They have anemia, easy bruising. Those are all kinds of symptoms of B vitamins, and B vitamins are a whole group of them. I think a lot of people talk about folate a lot, and people talk a lot about B12 or cobalamin a lot. And those are kind of the bigger heavy hitters, but you really have to make sure that all of them are on board to some degree for each person. And, we're here in the Northwest, so always those energetic feel-good moments are always good to have on board.
Totally.
I like to use a lot of intramuscular injections for my B vitamins just because you get to bypass a lot of the questions that I mentioned first when we talked about getting it from our diet. So you're going to get metabolism, you're going to skip first-pass metabolism, so it means it goes right into the bloodstream. You can use all that you're giving. That also means that if you have somebody who's vegan or vegetarian or doesn't consume a lot of meat products, which is a large portion of B vitamins, not all of them, you can get plenty of vegetarian B sources. That means you can help those kinds of individuals out quite a bit and particularly deliver it right when they need it, right? And you can do it once if people have a hard time remembering to take pills or if they have a hard time taking pills in general. That's just a really beautiful way to do it. Now, oral absorption works pretty well. Pro tip, it might turn your urine neon yellow, so that might be a little freaky. Again, and I'm going to plug making sure you have a really high-quality B vitamin and know where it's coming from. That's a big deal to me.
So these shots that you're kind of talking about, these B12 shots, this kind of goes with maybe some IV therapy that you enjoy prescribing to your patients, correct?
Makes me sound like a very sadistic at Halloween. I just love veins.
I think it's great. I think it makes a difference when you're saying it goes directly into your bloodstream.
Right.
You're kind of skipping that whole point of, just the oral absorption of the B12.
Right. And I work a lot with like chronically complex patients, and so they have gut malabsorption and they don't absorb well. And so that means that using IV therapy, we can either do more than they're able to orally take. Sometimes that's vitamin C because you can't take too much of that. Otherwise, you'll have very, very loose stools. You can't take taking too many of the other vitamins are problematic. And it skips the first pass metabolism. The liver is always going to take its cut of something. And by skipping that, we can get right into the bloodstream and give high therapeutic valuable dosages to people that really need it. Now, and those that are generally healthy, a lot of people think about this as performance enhancement, not the type that you're going to get kicked out of your NCAA sport for, but more like, hey, I'm just really stressed out because of my office job, or I've got this sprint that I'm doing at work. And we're, as a society, we're just under so much more stress than we've ever been before. So it would make sense to me that we need to evolve our ability to manage stress. And this is just one of those ways to provide micronutrients directly to our cells.
So if somebody was to opt for the shot or the IV therapy, I'm sure it differs by person, but how often would you recommend that for them?
Totally. And it does. It's so independently driven. So for myself, I give myself B shots twice a month.
Okay.
And then if I start feeling under the weather, I've been traveling a bunch, which is never a bad thing. I love traveling, Sagittarius. But
just throw that one in there.
Yeah, but when you fly, there's a lot of dehydration that comes along with it just by the sheer being up that high in the atmosphere. And so I will give myself kind of a monthly IV therapy too. Sometimes I hook myself up to IV. That's not safe to say. Nobody do that. Or I'll have my colleagues come do it for me.
You're a doctor. You're fine. You're fine.
Safe.
Yeah,
okay.
You're safe.
I hope my parents didn't hear that.
I mean, what's the point of being a doctor
Right.
if you can't
If
help
you
yourself?
can't help
Right.
yourself. Yeah, seriously.
They always tell you put your mask on first, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There you
Perfect.
go. There you go. Put your IV in first.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Maybe not at the same time.
Correct.
but okay.
Very true.
God, I'm dying. So funny.
So I'd love to ask you, because I do have a very rare autoimmune disorder called pemphigus vulgaris. Not sure if you've heard of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are there so many more? It seems like there's so many more autoimmune disorders. What do you think is the reason for that?
I love this question. So for anybody out there, autoimmunity means that your body has developed antibodies. Your immune system is attacking itself, and it shouldn't do that. And we're not really sure why that happens, on a very high arching level. So for me, it comes down to looking at every individual person individually. And so I use a lot of functional style of testing with people. That would be stool tests or advanced urine testing or blood testing. For me, like I said earlier in the show, everything comes down to starting at the gut and assessing health there. 80% of our immune system lives in our gut. We know that, for people that suffer from mental illness, so much of our serotonin, or our feel-good neurotransmitter, is created in our gut. And so as we're learning this, the concept for me becomes, how do we optimize that system? How do we improve gut health, whether that be leaky gut or if it's a true kind of like organic pathology, like a lesion or anything like that? How do we optimize that? So I think there's also this huge component of environmental exposure. So I specialize in treating patients who have mold, biotoxin illness and mold exposure to water-damaged buildings and things like that. And that's something that's really hidden. I think that, self starts attacking self, and it's not itself, and it doesn't see it as self. And so that's a huge part for me too.
So let me ask you that though, because that doesn't resonate with me. Like, why would my body attack itself? Like, it's meant to protect itself, right? The immune system is meant to defend itself. So what do you say to that? I mean, I felt like there was an underlying virus that I was trying to fight off.
There's always a level of stealth infections that have to come to the picture when you think about that, meaning they evade the immune system super duper well. So Lyme disease is one of these, H. pylori is one of them. Those are both spirochetic infections, which are not viruses, but they function a lot like a lot of different things because they're stealthy, and they are able to hide and dig deep and evade and throw off different kinds of markers, like, oh, they're throwing off fungal toxins. Well, they're not a fungus, but like, why are they doing that? And there's a lot to be said for the microbiology of it and the microbiome itself. So anytime we see leaky gut, and that happens in so many people, meaning that there are gaps in our cells of our gut, then proteins that would not normally fall out of our gut enter areas they shouldn't be, and the body starts seeing them as they traverse throughout the body. And it's not so much that the body is saying, oh, self is bad. It's just identifying proteins that shouldn't be there. And maybe they're accumulating at the thyroid, or maybe they're accumulating elsewhere in the body. And that's really where the autoimmune piece, we start pinpointing it to individual diseases because of their location.
Okay. Well, I can definitely attest to the leaky gut. I suffered from that years and years prior to actually developing autoimmune. So thanks for sharing that.
I think also pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. We live in like the apple capital of the world, and so many of our farms are sprayed, and that's a big deal. I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay, and so much of our bay health was determined by the runoff, the nitrogen runoff from commercial fertilizers and farms in the entire region. So much of our environment is reflected in our individual health. It's that macrocosm, microcosm.
Awesome. Well, I think we should go back to toxicity after the break.
Totally.
But we're going to have to take another break. But everyone stay tuned for the Oracle card in the hour. And remember, this is a live show. So if you would like to call in and ask Dr. Fox a question, feel free to call 1-888-298-KKNW or 425-373-5527 after this quick break.
And now it's time for the Oracle in the Hour reading.
We love Oracle cards.
Yeah, we do.
They are a great way to get information from your higher self about general and specific issues or topics. So today, Megan chose from The Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff, MD. I mean, so fitting, Dr. Fox, Dr. Orloff,
I actually had that same thought when my pendulum told me this was the deck to pull from today.
I
Okay,
love it.
so the card that we pulled for today was Surrender Your Attachment to Results. Oh, so fitting.
So good.
The formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen, then let go of the results. Holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it.
Ooh.
Kind of like in your health, maybe?
Yeah.
Microneedling is a revolutionary treatment that can help reduce the appearance of acne scars, fine lines, pigmentation, wrinkles, even improve the appearance of stretch marks by stimulating collagen and elastin. Sakura Skin and Mind specializes in this procedure that jumpstarts your body's natural healing process. Sakura Skin and Mind believes in not only keeping the skin up to date with the latest trends in the skincare industry, but also keeping the skin beautiful, fast, pretty, painless, and affordable. Find out more at sakuraskinandmind.com. SAKURA skinandmind.com.
Hypnotherapy helps you discover and explore deep, sustainable life changes. Let Sakura guide your communication with your unconscious mind. Rid yourself of negative behaviors, fears, pains, and emotions. Weight loss, smoking, childhood trauma, chronic pain, and much more can be addressed. Begin healing now. Just $100 for the first session. Learn more, sakuraskinandmind.com. SAKURA skinandmind.com. Bring out the healthy way of thinking you didn't know you had.
Did you know that your skin is your body's first defense against disease and infection? Briotech knows and has developed their topical skin spray to enhance your skin's natural healing responses and defenses. Briotech is all about providing its customers products that help promote skin wellness. Briotech Topical Skin Spray is a light misting spray free of added fragrance, oil, alcohol, and parabens. All this protection without clogging your pores. It's a must addition to your all-around daily skincare regimen. Try Briotech, a collection of sprayers from 2 ounces to 8 ounces. With this bundle, you can have Briotech Topical Skin Spray wherever life takes you. All natural and safe to use from head to toe. Irritations? Redness? Post-procedure sensitivities? Get Briotech Topical Skin Spray today. Learn more at briotechusa.com. That's BRIOTECHUSA.com. Support your skin at briotechusa.com.
Alternative Talk, 1150 on AM, 98.9 HD3 on HD, 1150 kknw.com on the web.
We're talking about. Welcome back to Love from the Hip. I'm spiritual hypnotherapist, master esthetician, and your host, Sakura Sutter. And feel free to email me at sakura@lovefromthehip.com with your comments, your criticisms, your questions, and well wishes. Let me know how I am doing. And if you are just joining us, today is the second episode of a monthly collaboration with Sage Sisters Podcast.
Hi, I'm Haley.
And I'm Megan, and we're the hosts of Sage Sisters Podcast.
And we are 2 energy healing junkies based here in the Pacific Northwest who are on the search for what wellness and self-care actually mean.
Each week, you can catch our conversations with various healing practitioners, coaches, and teachers anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Patrick Fox on our show. Dr. Fox is a naturopathic physician and owner of Constellation Naturopathic in Fremont. And if you would like to ask Dr. Fox a question, feel free to call 1-888-298-KKNW or 425-373-5527. So, Dr. Fox, before the break, we were talking about autoimmune and then pesticides and toxicity. Can you elaborate more on that for us?
Totally. So we're seeing just a large amount of toxins enter our environments from multiple ways. So I think the one that a lot of people can relate to is, and part of my questionnaire, which is lengthy, is what's your exposure like? Where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in an older home? Did you grow up in a newer home? Were there carpets? Were there not? Did you grow up next to a refinery? Did you grow up on a farm? Mostly because all of those pesticides, herbicides, fungicides on the farm sense are important for evaluating people's overall health. It has a large contributing factor to endocrine issues as well as autoimmune issues. For people that live in a very industrial area, heavy metals become a big conversation about what their exposure has been like and what are their symptoms like. You know, everybody has a constellation of symptoms, so we want to figure out where and how we can connect the dots there and what modalities we have to do that with. And I think that that's really true for people with environmental exposures from the kind of the farm industrial complex or more of just an industrial way. Living in a city, if you go for a run on the street, how much are you inhaling from exhaust from the street, from the cars on the street and stuff like that? And that's not to say, toxins that are thrown off by types of infections or types of stealth infections, whether it be viral, fungal, bacterial, spirochetic, all of those throw toxins off. And our bodies are just inundated at this point with tons of stuff. We just don't have enough ability to kind of clear them. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more stuff show up for people in terms of autoimmunity or mystery diseases or having to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different doctors or, it's hard.
Frustrating.
Yes. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So you mentioned your intake form and that it's lengthy, which I think is ideal. But talk about the process, what that looks like when someone comes to see you, Dr. Fox. Like you said, you have a long intake, but how long is the initial appointment? And, what kind of do you cover in that first appointment? Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, I spend an hour and a half on my initial intake with patients because that gives me the time to ask those kinds of questions. Now, that also means my patients ideally have done their homework and brought in their completed form. That gives plenty of time for them to ask me questions, for me to ask them questions, to do a physical exam, to get them on the table and just kind of start, there's so much to actually the physical connection of being with a patient and being with somebody who's going to hear your complaints and work through that I want to have that time with my patient. And I think that therapeutic relationship is the most powerful thing, second to the empowerment, right? The empowering of the patient to be in the driver's seat of their own health. And I say this a lot to patients. We are, co-piloting this, and I want to hear your thoughts, concerns, hopes, and I'm going to tell you what my thoughts, hopes, concerns are too with anything we do. And it's always a discussion because I think so many people have left certain types of medicine because they've just felt talked down to, or they felt degraded, or they felt like they weren't worth anything and they weren't worth the time. And my patients, it's all about spending time with them. So it's an hour and a half. We spend a good time figuring out what direction we want to go in. I may use some energetic testing to figure out that, to kind of give an indication of where we think we should go. And that always is met with, people just being super curious and excited. And I think that it's fun for me to be able to help provide answers. And I think that people are looking for answers. That's not always true because everybody's complicated, but that first visit's really set to establish a relationship, and then we kind of go from there. And everybody's gonna be a little bit individual. Some of my patients are just optimizing their health because they're generally well, and some of them are chronically ill, and I gotta talk to them pretty frequently, whether that be through telemedicine or in office.
Awesome. So it's like a partnership.
It is.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, we have some callers on the line, so let's go ahead and take our first caller. We've got Danielle from Bainbridge. Danielle, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Hi, thanks for joining us today.
Hi. I just had a question about some thyroid issues I am going through. I actually have been struggling with a thyroid issue mainly this year, and I actually just had a total thyroid removal yesterday, which is kind of crazy. But I just want some advice on how to recover with my diet and what can help. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, so it was kind of one of those things I had to get taken care of. But now I'm just curious of how to get my energy back with out of thyroid and then just with my diet in general.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of times when I hear about things attacking thyroid, I think about, in terms of what we can do diet-wise, removing those really common allergens or, irritants or inflammatory things like gluten and dairy. Now, you can always run a panel and see what's going on there, or do an elimination diet. I often think about chronic infections like stealth infections. Epstein-Barr comes to mind quite regularly when I start seeing thyroid has become an issue. And then I'm worried about heavy metals. Heavy metals come up pretty often with thyroid. I think of thyroid as the canary in the mine. So if it's the first thing to go off, there's something else deeper that's going on there, Danielle. So in terms of diet, I love the idea of shifting more towards an anti-inflammatory diet. I'm not somebody that likes to put people on super restrictive stuff for long periods of time, just because I think that creates a whole other host of problems. But making sure you're getting plenty of selenium, which is a really big component of thyroid health generally, and the B vitamins too. Those are going to be great ways to kind of help support thyroid generally.
Okay, great.
All right.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye.
Bye. Well, let's go ahead and take Maria from Santa Monica. Maria, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Dr. Patrick Fox, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, so good. I just want to say I am one of the biggest fans. I've been following you on Instagram, and you're absolutely amazing.
Okay, thank you very much.
He's blushing.
Instagram is how we met Dr. Fox, too.
You mean stalked me?
Yeah, you're right. Stalked
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask, I follow a vegan diet, and I was wondering, what are some of the best supplements I can take for my health and well-being? And is it bad that I take them long term?
Great question. So at the front of this, I want to say quality matters. So making sure you're connecting with somebody who can get you physician grade, high quality supplements is the first thing there, because because of the diet you follow, you want to make sure that the nutrients you're putting in supplementally are going to actually do what they need to do. So, I wouldn't recommend shopping at the big box stores because they just don't have, whether that be online or whether that be in person, because they may not have in them what they say they have in them. So anytime a vegan diet comes up, I always think about B vitamins just because they're so prevalent in dairy and meat products. There are plenty of vegetarian sources, but the Bs come quite high to mind. Iron, obviously, it's a thing too. It depends on how your cycles go as a female, if you're menstruating, if you're not menstruating anymore. And then I think oils. So you can definitely do that seed cycling. I think that's a great way to do vegetarian oils. Again, I'm such a big fan of getting it from diet that I struggle to be like, you should take a whole bunch of pills. That's the way to do it.
That's amazing. That is so helpful. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Bye.
Can I piggyback off her question?
Yeah.
So you talked about there are ways to get B vitamins in food if you're a vegetarian. So I personally eat mostly a vegetarian diet. Can you give some examples of that?
Mushrooms.
Ooh.
I love mushrooms. We live in the Northwest. You cannot not eat mushrooms. I'm a huge proponent of them. They're just such a great way to do it. To some lesser degree, obviously the dark vegetables will have a lower amount in them as well. So I like, those are, for bang for the buck, I talk mushrooms all the time with people.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, with that, we're going to have to take another break. So everyone stick around for more Love from the Hips hosts Sage Sisters podcast.
Men, care for your skin properly, starting with your face. Sakura Skin and Mind offers their Gentleman's Groom Clinical Facial for just $120. Designed for your rugged skin, a deep cleansing clinical facial is like a 1-2-3 punch to wrinkles, age spots, and problem skin. Tame those brows, ears, and nostrils. Sakura Skin and Mind, erasing wrinkles one clinical facial at a time. Learn more at sakuraskinandmind.com. SAKURA skinandmind.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Haley.
And I'm Megan, and we host Sage Sisters Podcast.
We're former sorority bitches who have turned into wellness witches. Behind us are the days of college parties, Seattle bar hopping, and random happy hours. Now we're seeking the secrets of true wellness and self-care.
Every Friday, we release new episodes chronicling our exploration of alternative energy healing modalities, spiritual wellness, and intuitive development. You can find us by searching Sage Sisters wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can download and subscribe to our episodes on iTunes and Spotify.
We've both found incredible healing through multiple forms of energy work and want to spread the love. So look up Sage Sisters Podcast and join in on your own spiritual wellness exploration.
Download and subscribe to Sage Sisters Podcast, and if you like, throw us a rating and review on iTunes. And don't forget,
go sage yourself.
Is your tween starting to experience a change in their skin? Want to get them on an easy at-home routine and have good skin hygiene? Allow Sakura Skin and Mind to help your tween out. This brief, deep cleansing and educational 35-minute facial is just enough to get your tween, ages 10 to 12 years old, started off in the right direction. Sakura Skin and Mind uses the latest in the clinical skincare industry to care for your tween the right way for just $65. Sakura Skin and Mind, treating skin out there with an ounce of treatment and a pound of protection. Call 206-730-7429 or go to sakuraskinandmind.com.
Hi, this is Marilyn Milano. If you love animals, then please check out my new show, Love Has Many Faces, Tuesdays from 9 to 9:30 a.m. right here on Alternative Talk 1150. I'll be talking with rescue groups, animal advocates, and other organizations that help animals, sharing their stories and giving our listeners some tangible ways in which they can help make a difference. That's Love Has Many Faces, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. right here on Alternative Talk 1150. Raising awareness, touching hearts, and saving animals' lives.
Alternative Talk 1150, the talk of the sound.
Welcome back to Love from the Hip. I'm spiritual hypnotherapist, master esthetician, and your host, Sakura Sutter. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook and subscribe and share my YouTube channel and podcast on Podcast One, Love from the Hip, and that's HYP. Today is the second episode of a monthly collaboration with Sage Sisters Podcast.
Hi, I'm Haley.
And I'm Megan, and we're the hosts of Sage Sisters Podcast.
And we are two energy healing junkies based here in the Pacific Northwest who are on the search for what wellness and self-care actually mean.
Every Friday, you can listen to our conversations all about energy work, spirituality, and self-care anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Patrick Fox on our show. Dr. Fox is a naturopathic physician and owner of Constellation Naturopathic in Fremont. So let's go ahead. We've got some lines ringing up there. So let's go ahead and take CJ from Portland. CJ, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. This is a question for Dr. Fox.
Okay.
Go for it.
Let's hear it.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Fox. Thanks for taking my call. I have struggled with migraines and vertigo for my entire life, both as an adult and as a child. I would love just to hear your insights on what supplements or natural remedies would be available to me and would potentially work, knowing that modern kind of Western prescriptions have not done much for me to this point.
That is a great question. I hear this question a lot. I've had this since I was a child, and it's continued in my adulthood. When I hear that, I first think about mold. So I want to hear about, where you grew up, how you grew up. Did you grow up in a moldy environment? Do you now have mold toxin as a reservoir in your system, which can lead to migraines? That's one question. My second question is, how is your chiropractic care? As an ND, I'm trained with some degree of chiropractic ability, and so we do some adjusting. You can do them very gently to talk about how that posture looks, how the neck is aligned. That can lead to migraines and vertigo. In terms of supplements, I often think about B6. It's one of our essential B vitamins, and that's a neat place to start if you're not willing to kind of dive too deep yet, and just see if that helps improve kind of the vertigo itself as well.
Those are good suggestions.
Outstanding. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks, CJ.
Thanks for calling.
Well, let's go ahead and take Alicia from Seattle. Alicia, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi there. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to kind of ask a question about, there's a discussion here about immune support, and you're talking about immunity building through mushrooms. And I actually do believe I just discovered not too long ago that I may have been exposed to some mold. And so I've been staying away from mushrooms because of that. And I wanted to know if there's anything else you can recommend on a primarily vegetarian diet.
In terms of B vitamins, or what do you mean?
Well, I do, yes, prepare lots of foods with B vitamins. Nuts are not great for me right now, just because I'm trying to build my immune system, and it just hasn't been really good for my liver.
Mm-hmm.
But I just am trying to stay away from mushrooms, it's a little hard in the winter and during the time of wanting to build immunity, and I'm sort of a little stuck about what to do to keep my immune system up. In the last couple of years, I've been getting bronchitis, and that doesn't make me happy. So I'm feeling a lot better now. I've been seeing, a naturopath at Bastyr, and that kind of round is over. But I just thought I would ask.
I think
about that one.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of ways to start, and those are I like to start with foundations, right? Getting adequate sleep, drinking plenty of fluids through the day. Your diet sounds, without really diving too deep, sounds like it's pretty dialed in. You can also look at other herbs. Mushrooms aren't the only way to help support immune and modulate the immune system. Elderberry is a really common one here in the Northwest. That's a really beautiful way to help improve immunity. Because the gut is so involved with immune function, it makes sense to improve gut function too. So probiotics sometimes have a hand in that, and sometimes not. It's those are all great ideas, but it definitely require seeing your provider to help you through that one.
Oh, I see. Yeah, looking at it that way. But there's not any particular type of other supplement you would recommend doing for food.
Yeah, not necessarily one over the air. I'd send you back to your provider just to check in with them to make sure we're doing the right things with you.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's super general. That's why I'm asking. I don't feel like I'm just mainly asking because it just sounds like there's lots of different sort of general choices to keep the immune system healthy, and I just am sort of inquiring for that reason. I haven't been asked to go back to my provider because I'm doing better, but I just want to stay well this winter when it starts to get wet and cold and, just that moist air and all that yucky stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to have you give me a call. Call my office and we'll figure that out for you. How about that?
You want to share that number with her?
Yeah, it's 206-717-5017.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Alicia.
Thanks,
for
Alicia.
calling in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Dr. Fox, we have to ask, what does your self-care routine currently look like?
Oh, man. I think the last time you asked me this question, I was saying, I'm sleeping a lot more. And that worked great this summer. My sleep has not been the best. It's gotten better. But I really just reconnected back in with my gratitude practice. And I know I've talked a lot about that. I've talked about it with tons of people. But for me, super easy and easy to do. And do it in bed, hand on my heart, hand on my belly, do some yoga breathing. First three things that come to my mind first thing in the morning, and then I get up and I ring some bells in my apartment that I have that sound kind of like Tibetan, and I just kind of call them into the day. Awesome. I call those gratitudes in and try to start my day from there, and then anything that comes up that's stress point or otherwise, I can just kind of let it just roll right off.
I love
that. So beautiful.
But sleep too.
Yeah, lots of sleep.
Always important.
Very important. So where do you hope to grow from here, Dr. Fox?
I love this question. I had a hard time thinking about how to answer this one, but I think what I love to do is connect people, and so I want to connect people to the right other people, and whether that be through information or being able to share through social media or share through things like this. So I'm eternally grateful for this opportunity because I get to reach new people and have conversations about them and some of their most private stuff. And I love holding space for people and making them feel safe for that. And so I think just continuing to build on ways to reach people in new and different ways.
Awesome.
All right. Shout out where people can find you.
Oh, yeah. This is the part I always forget about. So I am on Instagram. It's Dr. Patrick Fox is my handle. You can find me at my website, which is www.patrickfoxnd.com. And the phone number for my office is 206-717-5017.
And then real quickly, do you want to tell the story about Constellation Naturopathic and how you
just
got to
gonna
that
ask
name?
Thank you. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
So this name came to me. I had a very special person help me figure it out. And I am really excited about it. One, because I think that people have unique health constellations and seemingly not connected stars in a solar system or in a solar picture can connect and form a constellation. And that helps people feel more complete. And I think you do that through using multiple modalities like a naturopathic doctor does. So connecting their individual health points using modalities and then getting them better that way. And low-key, I'm a astrology junkie, so that helps me kind of get there too.
So that's where Constellation Naturopathic came from.
And thus it was born.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here today.
I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And that's all the time we have for today, but I also thanking again Dr. Fox and also thanking Eric, our amazing producer, and you, the listener.
Thank you, Secure, for having us co-host. We can't wait for next time. Big thank you to Eric for always keeping us on track. And, of course, a huge thank you to Dr. Patrick Fox.
You can find us at sagesisterspodcast.com, Instagram, or Facebook. And you can listen to all of our new episodes every Friday wherever you listen to podcasts.
Have a beautiful day, and don't forget to go sage yourself.
And you can find me at lovefromthehip.com or sakuraskinandmind.com. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, as well as Podcast One. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at sakura@lovefromthehip.com. And tune in next Wednesday at 2 p.m. for another Love from the Hip, and make self-love contagious. Go ahead, I dare ya.